Do we
Okay,
start?
let's be serious.
Okay, I'm Madonna. This is David. We're about to kick in. This is the second time we've done this one today, and it was done. We did a good video this morning.
And as you can see, extra time.
Well, I've got about 30 minutes until I go pick up little teddy boy. And then it'll be a swim.
Hey.
Beautiful.
I can't remember what we talked about.
Yes, we did. Okay, so we've got 3 different weight loss things we want to talk about. So you all know that David had a heart attack a couple of weeks ago.
Well,
he's doing really well. Yeah. Okay. Couple of heart attacks.
4 weeks ago with heart attack.
4 weeks.
It is now 2 heart attacks. I have angina, and I spent nearly a week in hospital, and I'm on my 3rd week out of hospital.
Had a couple of stents put in, so he's doing really well generally. And it's really nice because one of the benefits of nearly dying is
going on a really good diet, eating high fiber, specifically heart healthy foods.
So you're on a keto high fiber diet.
I suppose it's keto, but it's low carbohydrates, so it's getting rid of all sugars. And then
no sugar, no alcohol, no big carbs.
And I'm in ketosis. Last night I was in mid ketosis.
So there goes the rice, the bread, the potatoes.
Yes, and but the good news is I've lost 4 or 5 kilos in 2 weeks.
Depending on the day, and of course fluid and poops and things can make it go up and down, which is, we all know that.
Yeah. So it goes between this morning it was 84.5. And it'll go up to 86.5 to 86.8.
Now, David's been a vegetarian for nearly 40 years for spiritual, religious reasons. So, there's a really good reason for him being vegetarian.
Yeah, and there's a lot of people out there these days who, we vegetarians, we have a lot of difficulties because a lot of people, like, as you know, you can look up Jordan Peterson and his daughter, they've got this diet called the Lion Diet where they only eat meat. Now,
and they don't recommend other people do it, though.
Oh, no, they do, because I've been there in the discussions, which is why I kind of opted out a bit. Is that I told somebody I was vegetarian. I know lots of vegetarians for religious reasons, and they just said you should eat meat. And because of that, and then an argument happened, and I sort of couldn't believe it, because it's not considerate of different people's needs.
Totally.
And so in this case, luckily with Madonna's help, because she spent a lot of time directing me online to different doctors, cardiologists who and they actually have really big YouTube presence, and they'll tell you exactly, if you look it up, exactly what foods are good for heart health. And so that was really interesting. So and I didn't know any of that before. So, but just being pushed in the right direction. There's so much beautiful stuff online by doctors and also cardiologists. And if you look, they'll say these specific things are good for the heart. Like, for example, what are those types of vegetables that are broccoli, cabbage, cauliflower, anyway, all of those. So all
sulforaphane products.
Sulforaphane vegetables. And I don't seem to have an oxalate problem, so I can seem to do a lot of them. But I'm starting with that for weight loss. And once I get down, then I'm adding more. Now I'm starting to add more fatty proteins, like good ones like plain yogurt.
Can I just say something? The reason he mentioned oxalates is that a lot of the heart drugs actually destroy the microbiome so that we can't absorb and digest and eliminate some plant toxins like oxalates. So then the oxalates long-term can build up in the arteries, the capillaries again, and therefore that reduces, again, as a vegetarian, we need to make sure that he can cope with as many plants as possible.
And so therefore the type of metabolism that we're using with it, I'm using NAC, which is N-acetylcysteine, which helps make glutathione in the liver, so that it's an antioxidant amino acid. So if there is something, it helps it digest it in a more holistic way. And also the other problem with oxalates is they go for the kidneys, and then we're taking CoQ10 to help metabolize what goes through the kidneys.
Yeah, so coenzyme Q10 is the most important antioxidant for the heart.
Right, so those 2 antioxidants may help balance that out. But I'll be eating like that until I get down to about 80, and then I'll rebalance it with more ketosis foods, which are more high-fat cheeses. And because we know that in Europe and in France, they eat very heavy, fatty foods, but they don't have the heart problems we have here. We have the heart problems we have here because we eat so much sugar and eating carbohydrates that convert to sugar. So all the guys I know have got these big fat tummies.
We've got to make Australia healthy again. So, it's been really interesting watching David's side effects of the medication since the operation, and also how you're using the natural things to help to calm those down, which has been really nice to see.
Right. So, for example, the statins I was on were giving me very bad cramps in the muscles at the back of my legs. And because I isolated my medications, so I'd take some at one time of the day and I'd leave them 2 or 3 hours apart so I could measure, because I've got a full day. So I'll space them out and see what's doing what. And I'm taking the statin at night, and I ended up getting pins and needles in my feet. The blood wasn't flowing properly, but as soon as I came off the statins, which I also went to my GP, and she said they've put you on a way higher dose, and she's prescribed another smaller one. But at the moment, so I haven't got that yet, but I'm seeing how I go, because I was getting numb feet, and now having gone off them, my blood flow's fine. And so it's important to look at, because we're all different. And so even though there's general ideas of medications for everybody, for some people, they have reactions to them. And I've had reactions in the past to, say, I was depressed once, took antidepressants, didn't work, ended up making me feel really weird. Sleeping tablets made me forget things at work. They were like temazepam. And so it's like some drugs don't work with some people, even though generally they're okay. And because some drugs don't work and they have side effects, which most people are okay with, if you're one of the people that's not okay, it's good to have a natural alternative. And so also when I was in hospital, I got CoQ10 and N-acetylcysteine and vitamin D. So I had that with K2 on my healthcare plan that the doctors wrote out. They were approved. And
because David's a complementary therapist, it's good for him to get practice in talking to people who are in control of your health.
Well, the thing is, if you argue it properly...
No, but if you work with your clients with that, it's good for them to know, you know. And
so all you have to say is that I want to take these herbs, they've been recommended by, and if you can tell me that they are, it's called a contraindication, so that means they might upset the other drugs, then you don't have to take them. Like, for example, one thing I was taking, which was, what's the one with turmeric?
Curcuminoids.
Yeah, it had an actual contraindicated. So I said, all right, I won't take that for a while until I'm back to good health.
I have a theory on that, but anyway, whatever.
No, but well, the thing is, because I'm in ketosis, that's kind of achieving the same result anyway, because I feel really smooth. And I was trying to get to that with the drugs. So because I'm not so...
So ketosis means that your body is in a nice little state of burning fat. So if you buy keto sticks here in Australia, they're about, say, $17 for 100. They're not, or maybe $17 for 50. They're not expensive. So when I used to do keto diets with people all the time, I'd get them to do it first thing in the morning before brekkie, and then before dinner at night time. So that way you're sort of seeing, because that way it's away from food to see where you're at certain number of hours after eating. Yeah, before your nighttime meal.
Oh, okay.
And that way you're sort of, because you want to know.
Okay, so I took it last night at like 11 o'clock.
Yeah, okay. And what time did you eat?
Oh, no, way back at 7. So I should take it before eating.
Yeah.
Not after.
Because if you take it before eating, you know whether you've been burning fat for the day.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So
anyway, I didn't really know what to do, but I haven't been in it, so it's taken a cut, because I haven't been eating any protein and no fat. Do you know what I mean? I've been losing weight, and I know the first lot is a lot of water.
Yes.
And you're also clearing out the traffic jam in the intestine by eating a lot of high fiber foods. And once you can push that through, then I can start adjusting to it in a more smoother way that's stable, so I can maintain that weight over a long term.
And some people who increase fiber, of course, end up with more bloating, burping, belching, wind flatulence. And if that happens, that's a sign of having SIBO. So small intestinal bacterial overgrowth, small intestinal fungal overgrowth, small intestinal candida, or potentially parasites, because all of those love, they love the fiber, and it can feed. You know, sometimes when we're not getting enough fiber in, we'll be starving all the time, and it's because the parasites are going, feed me, David, feed me.
Well, I ate a full cabbage meal yesterday that was nearly all cabbage.
Yeah, right.
I didn't get any. I just wanted to test out full cabbage.
Yep.
And you know, it was a bit, but it was like okay.
Cool.
And I didn't end up so farty.
I should show you the Bragg's aminos as well.
But anyway, I lost about 5 kilos.
Awesome. And we need to always be respectful of people's different dietary things. Now, from that perspective, and I apologise to all the vegans, vegetarians. I got home from holidays a week ago.
No, I'm a vegetarian. I'm not a vegan, and it's a part of my Hindu religion.
Yeah.
So you know.
Yeah.
But so, I also understand.
I got home Sunday week ago, so 8 days away, and I have been doing carnivore. And the interesting thing is that as of this morning, I have lost 2.6 kilos. Not sure what that is in American language, but 2.6 kilos. And basically on the weekend, however, hubby and I...
2.2 pounds per kilo.
Okay, right. So it's about 5 pounds maybe. So what was interesting was that over the weekend, my hubby and I both had 0 sugar alcoholic drinks. We both put on 500 grams over the weekend.
Well, isn't alcohol?
Yes. No, absolutely. And this is the whole thing. And this is where the next thing we're going to chat about is so exciting. Because the way that the body absorbs nutrients as fat, it's alcohol first. So as soon as we drink anything, that's the one that's going to go to the hips, the butt, you know, our backsides. The second thing is sugar. So it's alcohol, sugar, and I mean real sugar. And then it's carbohydrates. So our starchy carbs, our potatoes, our rice, our breads, our cereals, that sort of thing.
They're all out for me at the moment.
Then it's the other carbohydrates, our fruits, our veggies, that sort of thing. Then it's protein, then it's fat. So everyone blames the fat. But the fat is so not the problem in most cases. Because when you combine your protein and fats together, to lose weight, you want about 80 to 70% of your diet, good protein and fat, and then 20 to 30% carbohydrates. And the protein and fat release glucagon, which is fat burning, whereas the sugars, carbohydrates, alcohols, fruits, they release insulin, which is fat storing.
Well, what I do is I eat fruit with the peel on. I don't know if orange peel is very healthy.
There's in lemons, it's limonene. It's probably a similar thing in orange. It's a natural hydroxychloroquine. So a lot of people are boiling up.
Well, I had it raw, and I think I had some kidney pain, and I was thinking that because my wife said, "Oh, you shouldn't eat the skin because it burns." Have you seen it? And so maybe I had a little bit too much skin because the skin.
Yeah, there's recipes out there where people can make.
The citrus skin is really high in fiber.
Yeah, but it's also really high in ascorbic acid.
Right, so I need to have less of it. Yeah, so I think that was the problem yesterday. I ate an orange with all the peel. And
that's an interesting thing to do. Why did you do that?
Okay, well, here's the reason why. So just say you do, we want to be normal people, I'm a bit of a yogi, so I can actually do this. And so, nobody cares around me if I'm like not eating anything. And so it's like, but the trick is, what they say is if you eat fiber foods first and then eat something sweet, because they go, you don't want to give up chocolate, you don't want to give up coffee, but take high fiber foods first. And people think high fiber foods are like the really grunty foods. That's not true. Like the highest fiber foods are like raspberries and blueberries, and they're not even sweet. And so you can have them beforehand. And what that does, because what happens is when we eat carbohydrates and sugar, we get a sugar spike.
Yeah.
And you can have a little thing where you can measure your sugar thing, because that's what ends up, that sugar spike's what ends up converting it into fat.
Yes.
Right. So what you do is you eat some fiber first, and then that slows down. And they've shown that you can really slow down the spiking, because when you put the high fiber in, it kind of goes in and it slows it down and it metabolizes slower. It doesn't absorb it as quickly, because you always got this thing that's going to make it slow to absorb. And if you use really high fiber foods for that, it ends up like not spiking you at all.
Yeah.
That's the theory. So who's that? Dr. Berg. There's a few different cardiologists who talk about that. Can't remember that guy. Anyway, yep. Yeah.
So it was sort of interesting that we've both had very similar weight losses with two totally different messaging. I found an app on the phone called, I think it's called Me 360, Me 360, and it actually gives you a really ugly outline of yourself and measures all the things like your arms, your legs, your butt, your waist, your neck, all sorts of things. And then you get 5 free measurements. So you can basically do it, say, a week apart and have a look at what you're doing and see whether or not it's shifting those centimetres the way that we want.
Right. Well, I'm a bit more simple at that. So when I was in hospital, I just typed in on YouTube best foods for cardio health. And so, and then you ended up with, there's some really nice people out there who've done really good research, like Dr. Eric Berg, and another one is called Sten someone. But anyway, and there's a couple of cardiologists who really go through this, because it's not just about being fat and having heart problems. It's all related to diet and how we're metabolizing insulin, and how it's working with the kidneys and the liver. And it's a very holistic way of looking at things. And once you understand that, you can kind of fine tune it to your own individual needs, because we're all different, and we've all have a different history with our digestive system and what addictions we've had and this and that.
Here in Australia,
that was the other thing.
Here in Australia, there's the injections you can have, like Ozempic, and there's another one, and basically they cost people between $300 and $400 per month. So they're daily injections, and what they don't do is target the fat when people are losing weight, which is really scary. So what's been found is that people lose weight, but then they actually rebound really quickly, because when we're losing weight and we're losing muscle mass, as soon as we go off,
problem, you end up losing muscle mass.
So as soon as we lose
fat stays.
as soon as we lose muscle mass, then as soon as we go back to a normal diet, your body's going to go, I'm starving, I'm going to put on as much weight as I possibly can as quickly as possible.
Keto's good, and you're always having a bit of fat and protein there.
Yeah, so you're feeling quite sated.
And so you don't have that, like, right, I got to suddenly pig out like I used to.
Yeah. Which brings us to the third thing about weight loss. And, I'm still in a process of learning about it, because it's a very, very new product on the market. And if you've seen my last couple of videos the last few days, there's a couple of people angry at me because it's a person-to-person product. But back in 1953...
what does that mean?
It means that I find out about it, I sell it to you, I get a commission off you.
Oh, like multi-level style.
Yeah, but it's, but it's because it's actually more cost effective for companies to get good products out there if they do it this way. It can spend millions of dollars getting things into chemists and, clinics and things like that. So this way, I do the research. I'm convinced about it. I try it myself. I say, hey, David, you need to try this. You go, nah, blow you. Or, I'm interested.
I'm motivated because I just had,
you know what I mean? That's why
I had trouble dieting before the heart attack.
But I don't mind person-to-person selling. I do it with Cerule because I love the stem enhanced plasma flow.
But it also means that people can virtually keep their diet pretty similar.
Yes.
They don't have to do what I'm doing.
So what this is, because we haven't mentioned it yet. So what this is, it's a matured bitter hops extract that was discovered in 1953. Matured. So it's fully grown, matured.
Oh, no, it's not.
I have no idea. So in 1953, it was discovered Big Pharma was spending $1 million to get a gallon of it. So it was in 1953 dollars. That was way, way, way too much to be cost effective to make it in any way for even Big Pharma to make money.
Well, natto can easily be like that. Like, it originally grows as a mold on soybean, but then they worked out how to make it into a thing, and now it's like
like many compounds. Absolutely.
After you finish your blood thinners and you get healthy, you can use it.
Yeah, so that'll be great for you.
Similar to statins,
Yeah, no,
but not for a year,
except
6 months.
Get off the statins. Anyway, so anyway, there's so what it does is, and this is where I love it. It stimulates a whole bunch of enzymes in the gut, and that activates the vagus nerve.
Right, vagus nerve.
So a couple of the hormones that have been stimulated by this matured bitter hop extract.
They have for that? I'd look to look.
They've done 2 years of research. I'll send you stuff. Well, I'll send you stuff.
The video's even better.
Yeah, I've got lots of videos.
Relaxing in bed.
Well, I've been trying to get you to listen and you keep ignoring me.
Oh, no.
So I'm pretty busy. Anyway, so it releases glucagon. So what was glucagon again? It's the fat burning hormone.
Oh,
so as soon as this stuff,
no,
as soon as this stuff hits the gut lining, it stimulates glucagon. That's really exciting because glucagon is our fat burning hormone. It also releases CCK, cholecystokinin, and what that does is stimulates liver and gallbladder function. But the combination, there's about 6 hormones that they know without a doubt that they release. And what's great about it is that because it gets thermogenesis going from the very first time you start taking it, it actually puts...
And you don't have to change your diet.
Well, everything's going to make it better.
Okay.
If you're hydrated, it's going to make it better. If you have good acidic alkaline levels because you're drinking plenty of water and, eating plenty of greens, you're going to do better. If you are making sure you're exercising and moving because moving is anti-inflammatory, you're going to do better. So anything's going to make it better.
All
but
right.
the studies were with people who did not change their diet.
They were.
The studies were on people who did not change anything except added these in.
Okay, so let me comment on this. So first we're going to talk about the vagus nerve, but also we're going to talk about addiction. I want to say something about that.
Yeah.
That was on the last video.
Yeah. So the last video that we lost out in there.
So I'll just say one other thing. So I'm taking N-acetylcysteine NAC. What NAC does, it reduces cravings as well. If you look up NAC and what it does, you'll be amazed at how many things it does. It's good for your heart, good for your liver, but also it reduces cravings. Believe it or not, just not with drug addictions, because I've given up cigarettes completely, but also with food addictions and things like gambling addictions. Somehow or other, it has this strange effect on people when they're changing their thing and you don't crave. And it actually, I've tried everything to give up smoking. I tried the medical Champix, I did hypnotism, I did, like video series, and nothing could work for me. And now working with, because the biggest risk factor for addiction is availability. So I've got to get all the tobacco out of the house. But then with the NAC, because what we're doing it's called replacement therapy, right? So with replacement therapy, I'm replacing, so I've got nicotine chewing gum, and that's how you're replacing it, and then using that to, and with the food also, I'm not giving things up, I'm eating completely different food to what I was before. So I'm not cutting down on anything. It's like I'm doing this, and this thing, and that's what I'm eating now, which is another type of replacement thing.
Nice. Yeah, whereas most diets take things away. So I love HCG.
Right,
I've chatted before about HCG. We both love our sentences. So HCG uses homeopathic drops to stimulate the hypothalamus in the brain, and it releases about between, say, 7 to 10 kilos in, say, 21 to 25 days. It loses actually my record ever was 28 kilos.
Right. Oh, okay.
In 6 weeks.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
You're already not fat, so I don't know what you had left.
It wasn't me.
Wasn't you?
Yeah, funny
I'm
boy.
thinking, where would you lose things?
No, not me. No, it was a very tall, very big boy.
Right.
No, but it's a very restrictive diet. You do anything wrong and you don't lose weight. And this is where I was going back to my carnivore.
Remember when I lost 15 kilos that way? Stayed vegetarian?
Yep. Well done.
That back like 20 years ago.
Yeah, you were exercising, I think.
Well, and 15 kilos in like a month. It was pretty a lot. And I lost it.
Yeah.
Put it back on again.
Must have been a lot of fluid and inflammation in there. Yeah. So with the stimulation,
you did the vegetarian version before for me.
Yeah.
The good old days.
Yeah. Yeah. So with the carnivore though, hubby and I did put on 0.5 kilo over the weekend by having some alcohol. 0 sugar alcohol drinks. So what I'm loving about the matured hops bitter extract is that the studies a couple of the studies they did, one was on perimenopausal and menopausal women who love a few drinks on the weekend. There were 44 of them. 1 put on weight, 1 didn't lose any weight, 2 pulled out because of COVID, and the rest lost on average 2.5 pounds. The guy who was the main researcher for 2 years, Professor Emeritus, he went on a cruise with his wife, and him and his wife both lost weight on a cruise. Now that's hilarious. I have been on cruises and 5 weight.
Probably doing a lot of exercise.
Yeah, you can't do that on a cruise. The cruises are bloody. Even as a vegetarian, you would have no problems putting on 5 kilos on a cruise.
Oh, yeah.
Way
Chuck
too
a rope
easy.
down, jump in.
Way too easy.
Climb back up, jump in, climb back
into the ocean. Yeah, do the freezing cold therapy. Speaking of which, that's what this mature bitter extract does. It puts your body into the same thermogenesis that freezing does. So the people who are doing the cold therapy.
Oh, really?
That's what this does. They've proven
Wim Hof breathing, or you can do this.
Well, so again, that takes time, energy, effort.
Right. So here we are.
So here we are. We have something that every time we take it, we're stimulating thermogenesis for 9 hours.
All right.
And people are getting
What's it called again?
Well, it's a mature bitter hops extract.
Right, okay. So we'll have more of that. So let me say, because you mentioned the vagus nerve. What does it do to the vagus nerve?
Well, it activates the vagus nerve.
Activates
it. So it makes it, because so many people have got vagus nerve issues.
So it does that. That's really interesting because in the last 20 years in counseling theory and psychology, a lot of the new research has been on somatic healing.
Yeah.
And so we've got people like Bessel van der Kolk, who wrote The Body Keeps the Score, highly recommended reading, or watching his lectures online, Bessel van der Kolk. And he worked out, they did studies with 100 treatment-resistant post-traumatic stress disorder women doing yoga, and they were able to self-regulate at home, so they didn't have to keep coming in.
Yeah.
And that takes pressure off the health system. And then Stephen Porges did the original work on the vagus nerve, which is why we know so much about it. But the person who's really embraced it is a guy called Peter Levine. And he's just written a book, and he's worth looking up because at the moment, he's doing interviews about his book. And what he said was something really interesting. He goes this, like, like that. And really, they're chanting on, but they don't want to say that because it's yoga. Bessel van der Kolk says on. Yeah. But so he's just going, you go, oh. And so what that does is it sends stimulus into the body, but also that tones the vagus nerve. He was really badly abused as a kid. And so the same thing, chanting on, or whatever it is, humming, in the nasal passages, it produces nitric oxide.
Yeah.
Right. And so when we do that, hold, walk around, breathe it in, that produces something like, I was doing it with my son. I told him 5 times as much, and he goes, oh, rubbish. And he looks up and he goes, Dad, it's more like 100. I can't remember. It was 100 or 1,000 times more nitric oxide. Now, nitric oxide is antiseptic. It turns on our immune system, and it helps blood flow. So nitric oxide is very good for anybody with a heart condition. It's worth looking up. And the reason that's important, because as we get older, whether we're women or men going into menopause, nitric oxide, as we get older, our bodies stop producing it, because the foods that comes in, all the green leafies and everything, that produces nitric oxide. It goes into our stomach, and then it's back in the mouth in the morning, like cow, into the stomach and back around. And that's why if you drink mouthwashes, we don't get as much nitric oxide. And because we don't produce it as much, we don't have another way. But they found that breathing and doing that tunes the vagus nerve and puts nitric oxide into our system. And then another thing about, so at our age, when we stop making things, if we take vitamin D3 and K2, and Madonna's the expert on this, I'm just saying what I've learned off the video. She's a naturopath, I'm just a counsellor. It helps so if we take vitamin D by itself, it can end up putting calcium in the wrong places.
Yes.
Like on the arteries and where else?
Oh, in the capillaries. Yeah, absolutely.
All right. And so if you take vitamin K2 with it, it stops...
In our joints.
It actually puts the vitamin D back in the bones, and so many women with menopause have calcium problems.
Yeah.
And K2 helps metabolize not only your bones but your teeth. So people with vitamin D deficiencies have teeth problems, they have bone problems, they have joint problems.
Can I tell you a secret about osteoporosis?
Anyway.
I hate calcium for it. I don't believe
in
calcium
that's what
for
they
bone
say.
issues.
So they say to take calcium, except it doesn't change the result.
Yes.
Whereas if you take vitamin D3 with K2 together, it metabolizes the calcium, so it goes into the bones, and also it doesn't go into your arteries.
Yeah.
And that's the science tech. And if you want to look that up, you can look up people like Dr. Eric Berg.
Yeah.
And I can't remember the other guys, but they've done the science is very good on this.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's a part of your whole metabolism thing, and also for energy. This particular D3K2.
Can I still say though that doctors will often ignore low vitamin D levels?
Yeah.
So if someone has an autoimmune disease here in Australia, I don't know what the numbers are else around the world, but here in Australia, a normal level is over 50 nanomoles. So I personally have had a level of 25, and it wasn't flagged. If someone has an autoimmune condition, you want your vitamin D in your bloods to be 150 nanomoles. Because guess why? What happens with an autoimmune disease? You've got an ADHD immune system that's hyperactive. So you are chewing up vitamin D at the drop of a hat. And if you've got leaky gut, the whole metabolism in the gut, the whole bit where we open out our little cells, our cells are opening and closing all day, every day. There's this little thing that pokes out into the bloodstream called zonulin. But that elasticity is all vitamin D.
And so if you take a spray, all right, so we've got a gut problem, but if we take the spray, we can let it just sit in our mucous membranes and it'll absorb through our mouth, even if we have a mitochondria, because our mouth is, and the spray can just sit it there for half an hour and it'll all absorb mostly through the mouth. When we swallow it, it's less efficient.
We've got about 2 minutes to go. So we sort of, so basically we've got a high keto, vegetarian, high fiber diet that's worked to treat.
With a lot of humming.
A lot of humming. Yeah. Movement, are you doing yoga or anything?
Oh, yeah, I'm doing yoga. But when you look at D3 and K2 deficiencies, they have all these symptoms like depression, things that are vagus nerve problems.
ADHD. Yep. So then there's, then I did the carnivore and, you know, so 2.6 kilos.
I'm here for the small percentage of veggies because we need special things.
Yeah, absolutely. And that now as of last night, so far I've had 2 doses of the matured hops extract. So I'm very curious to see how this is going.
We're competing.
Yeah. So I sort of, so I'm going to be, I'll put the link in there. So if anyone's interested, because the science is really quite phenomenal on it.
I'm 5 kilos in 2.5 weeks.
And the science, it's hard to maintain though.
I know.
The science is 70 years old. So it's, you know, it's really going to be interesting.
What's that called again? To say it out loud.
I'm not going to say the company name because that's illegal here in Australia, but it's a matured bitter hops extract.
Oh, okay.
So I will put a link in. We've got stupid rules in Australia.
Oh,
when I go to metagenic seminars,
like I'm a counsellor and I don't have to.
When I go to metagenic seminars, they cannot say the name of products.
What?
So if they're talking about stress N, they can't say stress N. It's illegal.
They don't do it.
They don't do it. It doesn't matter. They don't do it. They never use product names at seminars. This is the rules here in Australia. So yes, it's
really?
It's
so
crazy.
It's okay to say D3K2.
Well, they're unlikely to be listening to our video. Well, that's not a specific brand.
Oh, so you're not allowed to say brand names.
Brand names are a problem.
Oh,
it's non-compliant. So therefore, when I'm talking about it, I will talk about a mature bitter hops extract that's had 70 years minimum experience.
That's so confusing and it doesn't make any sense for normal people.
Oh, but the other thing I want to mention, you know, because we've been talking about N-acetylcysteine, which is a precursor to glutathione. The whole thing about your liver is if you take painkillers, every time we take a painkiller, especially things like codeine, we can be making every cell in the liver lose all of its glutathione with one painkiller.
What foods have glutathione in? Do you remember?
No, no idea.
Okay, well,
but the other thing we were going to mention was the vagus nerve, just really, really quickly, because with the new bitter hops extract, it activates the vagus nerve. So people, once again, the product's only been around in the world since July, August, September. So we're in the 3rd month worldwide. Is that right? July, August, September. So, and people are functional medicine doctors in the States are already getting really amazing results with people. But, you know, so the vagus nerve is involved in epilepsy and depression, regulating emotions and blood pressure and heart rate and inflammation, migraines, cluster headaches. So it's a little bit exciting.
Another thing that I follow a guy called Tim Fletcher, and I've talked about him before. Highly recommend doing any of his courses and watching his videos. He says before we should make any significant changes with addiction, because that's where he started, we should look at our childhood and generational traumas first.
Yes.
And then you've got a much more likelihood of not going into remission.
Yes.
Falling back. Because nearly always, if the childhood trauma is sitting underneath it, we'll get rid of the smoke and we'll lose weight, and suddenly there's just some gnawing thing that wants comfort.
But that's where I love this matured bitter hops extract. because of the vagus nerve combination plus the detoxification and the weight loss. So it's a really beautiful, it's the most beautiful combination I've seen besides HCG. The thing I love about HCG, that when it's done correctly over a period of time, it balances hormones.
Right, but also we're doing it with therapy. So you're doing it with kinesiology and treatment. I'm doing it with counseling. These things, doing it with support, work better than without support.
Always.
Some people are so good and they can do just stuff by themselves, but a lot of people don't have the motivation and to dig in and what do.
So as always, we'll have our details below. Feel free to contact us. And
beautiful. We're competing. Competition brings good results.
Make Australia healthy again. Okay, everyone, have a great day.
Okay, bye. Thank you. Bye.